Hello everyone, this is Shadow Cosmic here, and today I'll be doing the card review for Wonderland Dreams. It's a little bit early, but I have exams coming up in a few days, so I'll really try to get this done and over with as soon as possible. So on the official website, it hasn't been exactly, all the cards haven't been reviewed yet, but there is a Reddit, I believe, that has shown all the cards. So I guess I'll cover as many of the cards as I can from the classes at least, and then we'll switch over to the Reddit site to cover the cards that haven't been reviewed here yet. So this expansion, Wonderland Dreams, it basically, from what I can see, it plays much more to neutral followers, so looking forward to see a pure neutral card deck. But let's get straight into it. So first, we're starting off with ForestCraft. Every class has 2 legendaries this set. So ForestCraft first has Beauty and the Beast from the famous story fairy tale. So stat wise, it's pretty fair. 6 costs for 5/6, evolves to 7/8, pretty standard. Fanfare, gain +2/+2 if you have at least 5 cards in your hand. The first part of the skill isn't difficult to proc off. It's ForestCraft after all. With the number of fairies they have, 5 cards is very usual. Gain resistance to damage and destruction from spells and effects if you have at least 3 neutral cards in your hand. So the way this is worded, gain resistance to damage and destruction from spells and effects, basically this follower cannot be destroyed by spells and effects, it cannot be damaged by spells and effects. So yeah, you have to either 1, kill it by dealing damage from followers, so trading into it, or 2, one of the ways to circumvent this is to use cards that transform it, like petrification. Other than that, there's no other way. Even Bahamut won't destroy it. And the cost for this is you need to have 3 neutral cards in your hand. Normally this would be quite difficult, but I think in the upcoming expansion, people have much more neutral decks, so it should be alright. It's overall, this card is a very strong card to just place on the board, and your opponent has to find a way to get rid of it, and usually has to trade into it because it can't be destroyed by spells and effects. So it's a good anchor for the board. Following that, we have Ferry Dragon. 2 costs 0/4, quite interesting, with ward. So on a turn 2 play, it will just be purely defensive. Its fanfare is add X to this follower's attack. This value equals the number of allied fairies that have been destroyed this match. So quite interesting. I'm not very sure how it will play out. So I guess if you want to add a very like say an early game aggressive kind of fairy based token ForestCraft deck, you could play this card as like say a mid game ward and with high amount of attack because a lot of fairies have been destroyed. And not very sure because currently, as far as I know, there's no card that can give something else Storm in ForestCraft, so you can't use it as a finisher, so it'll mostly be a defensive card, I guess, cost due to the ward. A 0/4 on turn 2 is quite strong defensively. It's unfortunate it doesn't have any attack to trade to fight back, but it's still pretty strong. I think this would have been better in the golden. Legendary seems a little overrated, so to speak. Yeah, that's about it. So it's okay, I guess. Following that, we have Ferry Driver. A 4 costs 3/3. Stat wise, it's a little bit understated, but it's fine. Whenever an allied fairy comes into play, give it +1 attack and storm until the end of the turn. So this card, definitely I can see it being very useful in say aggressive fairy token decks. Just play this down, then play a bunch of fairies each with 2 attack and storm and just hit face. Other than that, I think generally it wouldn't fit into any existing decks, but with of course with every expansion new decks come out, so it might find its place somewhere. Other than that, it's just a pretty decent solid card. Base, if you was to still play the Roach deck, unless you're playing a very aggressive lineup, you probably won't run this card. So you'll probably have to go into a new token fairy deck. Moving on, we're going to Magical Fairy Lilac. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Lilac or Lilac? I don't know. Lilac. So it's a 3-cost 1/4. Total up it will be around like 2 to 3. So it's a pretty fair stat. Pretty fair stat wise. Its ability is Clash, destroy the enemy follower, then remove this follower's Clash ability. So yes, it's a very strong early game removal card. So the first time it attacks anything, it will destroy the enemy. Excuse me, there was a little mishap with the recording. So as I was saying, the first time this attacks any enemy follower, it will destroy the enemy follower. And then after that, it will just be a vanilla 1/4. It's pretty good as a 3-drop because it means that your enemy has to remove it by removal spells if they do not want to get one of their followers just removed. And since it's a turn 3 drop, as far as I can tell, there is no turn 3 spell, there's no 3-cost spell that does 4 damage. Exactly. So, there are probably okay, I can think of a few, like Witch Bolt, but nobody plays Witch Bolt, so it can be a very strong turn 3 play. It would have been better if it had Ward, but in that case it will be crazy powerful, so I think this is a pretty good card. Probably will be run in quite a few ForestCraft decks just to be a very strong, solid turn 3 play. If your opponent responds with a strong turn 4 play, you can always remove it with this card, because as you can tell, say you play this on turn 3, on turn 4 your opponent, says you're playing first, you play this on turn 3, your opponent plays something on turn 4 and evolves it, this can immediately remove that. So, very strong card. Yeah, okay. So, next we have Elf Twins Assault. It's a 2-cost spell, golden. Its effect is deal X damage to 2 random enemy followers. X equals the number of neutral cards in your hand. So, I can see this to be very, very strong in a neutral, in a deck with a lot of neutral cards. Say you have on turn 2 you have a hand of 5 cards, then you deal, say 3 of them are neutral followers. You're basically dealing 3 damage to 2 random enemy followers for 2 cost. Definitely has the potential to be a very, very strong removal, and I think it will be just insane, the amount of the power of this card. So yeah, definitely a very solid card, just in terms of general removal. Following that, we have Sylvan Elder. It's a 6-cost 4/5, slightly understated. He's a silver, he has the ability Ward, and fanfare, give all other allied followers +1/+1 if you have at least 3 neutral cards in your hand. So, I don't think it's a bad card, it's pretty normal. The Ward will help defensively, and I'm guessing 3 neutral cards in hand won't be a very difficult cost when this expansion comes out. And giving all other allied followers +1/+1. In this case, after seeing a few of these cards, I'm thinking ForestCraft will turn into a more field-orientated deck, so they'll have a lot of followers, probably a full field at most times, and you just want to buff up a lot of the cards on the field. So I'm guessing probably this can even go in like aggro ForestCraft, I guess. Well, not really, because in aggro a lot of the times you won't have 3 or more cards in your hand, but oh well. So yeah, I think this will go good in a board-oriented deck where you have a lot of followers on the board and you can just buff all of them up. So moving on, we have AB, the X-Girl. She is a 2-cost 2/2, pretty normal, with Clash, gain +2/+0 until end of turn. So basically, when she attacks a follower or is attacked by a follower, she gains +2 attack. So it can be pretty good to deny good traits. Say on turn 2 you play her, on the next turn your opponent plays Grimmer. Okay, Grimmer cannot very easily trade into her because she will destroy Grimmer as she gets 2 attack and Grimmer only has 3 HP. But if say it were a normal 2/2, then Grimmer could trade into her effectively and would still live. So I can see it being playable, but I think there are better options. Yeah, better options. Personally, since after looking at a few cards of ForestCraft, looking as the expansion now is kind of pushing ForestCraft in a more board-oriented deck to have more followers on the board. I'm thinking Elf Girl Lisa might make a reappearance to protect followers from spells and such. Next, we have a 2-cost amulet, Wood of Brambles. So it's a 2-cost silver amulet. It has countdown 2. With the fanfare, put 2 fairies into your hand. Give all allied followers in play and all allied followers that come into play Clash, deal 1 damage to the enemy follower. So basically on fanfare you get 2 fairies. It's good to fill your hand up with tokens. Then give all allied followers in play and allied followers that come into play Clash, deal 1 damage to the enemy follower. So basically, if you fill your board up with tokens and your enemy wants to trade into the tokens, the enemy will be taking 1 extra damage each time he or she trades, which is pretty good because once again, a wider board, your enemy trades more, they get more damage done. So I think it's a rather good card. It also fills your hand up with tokens fairies, which is just an extra plus. So yeah, just generally quite okay for a turn 2 drop. Moving on, we have 4-cost 2/4, slightly understated, Flower Princess. With the fanfare, put 2 fairies into your hand if you have 2 or less neutral cards in your hand. Put a Thornburst and 2 fairies into your hand if there are at least 3 neutral cards in your hand. So if you have 2 or less neutral cards, you get 2 fairies. If you have 3 or more neutral cards, you get the 2 fairies and an additional Thornburst. Now, in case anyone doesn't know, Thornburst is quite similar to Crimson Sorcery. It's just a deal 3 damage card. Basically, yeah, it just deals 3 damage to anything. Can be face, can be follower, depends on what you want. So definitely very strong, this card. It's a little bit slow in terms of stat-wise because it's a 4-cost 2/4. But I can see it being used just for the additional Thornburst, because Thornburst originally could only be attained from Rose Queen, which was the legendary in Classic. So to get Thornburst alternatively, it's quite good. It's comparable to Time Mage Levi, because for Runecraft, a lot of the time on their evolve turns, they would play Time Mage Levi, evolve, get the Crimson Sorcery, remove something, and then after that, use Levi to trade so they can clear the board much better. Flower Princess can do a similar thing, just that she doesn't need the evolve. She just gives you the Thornburst and the 2 fairies, and yeah, it's pretty good. Just that I'm afraid it might be a little bit slow on turn 4, but otherwise, her effect I think is pretty strong. So moving on, we have Kindly Treant. It's a 3-cost 2/3, so pretty okay. Fanfare, gain +1/+1 and ward if there are at least 3 neutral followers in hand. So just pretty normal card. +1/+1 make it 3/4, and ward would help defensively if there are 3 neutral cards. So okay, I guess. Not just decent. If you want to play this, I think it'll be pretty good. In arena, it would be pretty nice. However, I think on board it will be a little bit slow, so to speak, unless you're playing a very defensive deck. Other than that, I think probably won't see too much play, because I would play Lilac over him as in the 3-drop slot. Lastly, well, not lastly, for this section anyway, we have a 3-cost amulet called Woodland Band. Skewers, at the end of your turn, give all allied followers +2/+2 if there are at least 4 followers with a different name in play. Then destroy this amulet. Okay, so this is how I think this amulet's gonna be used. You go extremely aggressive. On turn 1, you play a 1-cost follower. On turn 2, you play 2 different 1-cost followers. On turn 3, you play 1 more follower, and then after that, on turn 4, you dump this down and then give +2/+2 to everything. It's a little bit crazy, but yeah. But other than that, I can see why this will be a difficult amulet to pull off, because first you need 4 followers with different names in play, and after that you need to play this. So yeah, it's not an easy condition, but the +2/+2 to all followers is definitely a very strong effect. If you do get it off, your opponent will probably have a tough time dealing with the board, unless they have some crazy removal option. So I think it's a okay card. Probably won't see much play. I can't think of any deck that would play it, because even if you go for the token approach, once again, tokens are all fairies with the same name, so it's a little bit difficult to play the card. So I think you need a very very neutral deck for this one, but it's an interesting card nonetheless. So now I've shifted to the Reddit for this. Basically, how the Reddit has, I think, the complete list, if I'm not wrong. So, and there are a few cards that aren't on the official website yet, so I'll just finish it. Finish the review here. So we've gone through Beauty Beast, Faerie Dragon. These 3 we've gone through: AB, Wood of Rainbow, Sylvan Elder. So next we'll go to Snowfield Warrior. Snowfield Warrior is, okay, here we go. Basically, it's a 4-cost 3/4. I'm blind. 4-cost 3/3 with the skill Rush. Whenever this follower attacks and destroys an enemy follower, gain +1/+1 if this follower is not destroyed. So pretty interesting. So 4-cost 3/3, its stats are a little bit understated, but it's fine. Its effect allows it to continuously gain +1/+1s as long as when it attacks, destroys an enemy follower, it is not destroyed. This is comparable to Reno Levin Vanguard. Basically, it's a very both of them are 4-cost rush. Usually play on turn 4 when you don't have the turn 4 evolve, and I think his effect is pretty good. He gives him +1/+1 if the follower he attacks is destroyed and he's not. So the only weakness I see is that you play him, he gets rush, he destroys something. I think the next turn he will be just taken out by removal or by getting traded into. But if left unchecked, he can really grow to a big number. Usually that doesn't happen though. It could be a good a good counter to token decks, because you continuously keep trading into the tokens, so he continually gains +1/+1. Yeah, it's a pretty decent card, I guess. Would play him like at 1 or 2 copies if the deck permits it. So yeah, I just think he's pretty good. So following that, we've gone through Woodland Band, Kindly Trend, Flower Princess, Have we? Oh yeah, we do. It's this one. We've gone through Flower Princess, so the last card we haven't gone through is this. Tweedledum Tweedledee. Okay, so he's a 2-cost 2/2 with the skill Fanfare. Add 1 to the number of cards played this turn. Okay, so standard 2/2. Add 1 to the number of cards played this turn. So, yeah, I'm guessing he is like a little bit of support for the Roach Roach combo. Basically, you play him, and then instead of just getting 1 card played this turn, his effect will let you add 1 more. So you could feed Roach 1 more attack. It's pretty interesting because it directly supports the class's mechanic. It might be played in some of the older decks which require you to play a certain number of cards to get a certain effect, blah blah. But other than that, I think in the new decks you won't really be played that much unless you really need to. He's just a normal card, nothing much, and I think that's about it. No? Whoops, a little bit of an accident. Yeah, so that's about it. That'll be it for ForestCraft. Generally speaking, I think ForestCraft has changed a little bit, will change a little bit in this expansion. Not so much, cause, okay, so here's my thoughts. The ForestCraft we currently see is a lot of Roach, is a lot of not committing on the board, just playing, get your Roaches and then do a kind of OTK kind of turn. Even if you use the White Wolf, you can go for Silverbolt. If you want, you can finish it with Jungle Warden, 4/5, 2 of them with Storm. So not a lot of playing on the board, just clearing your opponent's board and keeping the field empty, and then after that finishing with some kind of OTK. Very it's very combo-like. So with this expansion, I think it's more towards trying to get players to play on the board, then buffing up your board to a huge amount. You have things like Beauty and the Beast, which cannot be removed from the board. You have things like Ferry Driver that encourages you to commit fairies on the board. So definitely a more board-oriented support and expansion. So yep, that'll be it for ForestCraft. Yep, I guess that's it.